Hi guys, good evening. Preparation days coming to an end. Beautiful sunsets coming and shining in the room. We've got a little presentation. Um, Rona, my wife, my
Hello,
beautiful
hi.
wife, and myself are here. The
Yeah.
children in the background. So if you hear any disturbance and also any whoopings, it's just them being disciplined. Anyway, so yes. So where do we start? Wow, it is an awesome. I think the best thing to do is just go, whoa, wow, this has been an awesome journey. And so let me start. Faith, a step beyond the unknown. So you don't know something and you have to step beyond that. It's not a step beyond what you know, it's a step beyond the unknown. And it's a powerful thing. I was being told something this morning about even your ABCs are a foundational aspect of faith. And if you don't take your ABCs in faith, then you will not learn anything. You won't go any further. Because from that ability to read, to understand the language, comes the basis of all knowledge and understanding through the Lord. So I'm Ernest. This is my wife, Rona. Yes, my sister, Lucille, is my senior sister. I'm the younger one, although I do often look older than her. Quite often. She likes that. She does look well because she's gone into the health message, hasn't she? She's very, very disciplined in that.
You?
I can be. I've just come to the end of a 7-day fast, so I haven't fell upon the flesh like the Israelites did with the quail in the desert, but it was a release to have some food. So yeah, a step beyond the unknown. Ernest and Rona Hines. So I'm Ernest.
And I'm Rona,
Hello,
as you can cover.
and we're currently up in Scotland, just north of Aberdeen, about half an hour north west of Aberdeen. Actually, not too far from Trumpland, is it? Unfortunately,
Yeah,
we're about 4 miles or so from his
yes.
golf course.
Yeah.
So he might invite me one day, and then I'll find all the Jesuit priests there to arraign me. I get a confession. Okay, so let's have a look what we got here. So this is ourselves. So I was born in Leicester with the rest of my siblings. Some of my siblings, I believe the girls were born in Bedford, but I think Robert and myself were born in Leicester and born and raised there in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And yourself?
And I was born in Plymouth, Montserrat, and that's in the Caribbean. It's a little tiny island in the Caribbean next to Antigua, Antigua and Antigua and Barbuda and Guadeloupe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a beautiful place. I've been there, although it was fiery. And that's how I got my wife, wasn't it?
yeah.
The Lord knew her heart. I was looking for a wife and I couldn't find one. I was maybe just picky. And the Lord said, I'm going to get you one by fire or flood or whatever. So he caused the fire to rain down in Montserrat. And that tells the story. And brought her all this way. And I picked her up in Nottingham.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was in 2004. But
That's when we got married
that's
in
when we got married.
2004.
Prior to that, this was myself with the lads at a party. Um, some of them, the Dublin, you might know Dublin or Sadler, they're in that picture as well. That guy in the front, Desmond Bell, he is Marky Morrison, the music, Return of the Mac, that's his cousin. So kind of a group of guys. This guy here, his family owns Swiss Cottage, so it's and that was part of our group. So I was in church, born and raised up, but yet um, rebellious. My sister would say I was the worst teenager ever. Okay, and this is my beautiful empress. Yeah. Did you go offline like I did?
No. I stayed grounded in the church, did all the things that young person would do in the church, part of the Pathfinder Club, being a superintendent in Sabbath school, yeah, AYS leader and all the sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So we met and then got married in 2004. And this was me before. This was just before. This is when I was looking out. I think this was Angola, and I was working out there for Texaco. So and traveling back and forth. So, and then we got married 2004, and this was our first home in Leicester. And this was this was after, I don't know when this picture was taken actually.
That was after we came back. We visited.
Oh right,
yeah. We took the kids there to show them where we first started. It has changed since 2004. So this is a recent. In 2004, it looks different, but that is basically the place that we bought.
So this was in Leicester. So like most people growing up, you want to get married, and in the church that is, you want to get married. Can you shut that curtain for me, please? You want to get married and have your children, get your house, get stuff done, get your career on. That was ours. So we bought this place, and at this point, we ruled that we didn't have country living broadcast as we could have done. Thank you. That's a bit better. Yeah. We never had country living broadcast to us much. Health, yes. Mum, Lucia advocated. I think she was the first in the home to advocate and go onto a vegan, vegetarian diet. I joined when that diet when I went into the military, the Navy, and found it difficult to eat eat food. So I just cleared it. A story was I went to the galley to have something to eat, and I asked him, "Does this quiche have any pork in it?" No, mate, it's all right. You can have that. So okay, chef, go on. So I sat down and it tasted delicious. And all of a sudden, I came upon something. I thought, "What's this?" And scraped it off. It was half a piece of meat. So obviously the other half had gone, and I was like aghast. So I went up to there, ready to, take him over and deal with him. And he goes, this has got meat in. You told me it's got no pork in it. He goes, where? It ain't got no pork in it, mate. It ain't got no pork in it. I goes, right there. And he looked at it. Because I ain't pork, mate. That's ham. So I kind of thought, okay, from this point on, just say I don't eat meat. And it was much simpler. So so we got married. No understanding about country living. And 2004, if we'd have made that move initially at that point, isn't it? It would have been, we would have been much further along.
Yeah.
This is our first year growing now, and we'll show you some pictures of stuff.
Well, while we were there, we had an allotment.
Yes, we did. Because my dad loved it, didn't he?
Yeah, he encouraged us to have an allotment, and it was from that point we really started enjoying growing our food, and so we had our first experience of growing food from there. Yeah. So look at me. Just let me put this a bit better. Yeah. Okay. So there we went. We were there, and then we went to we returned. We sold this house because I was working offshore, as you've seen. I was always going back and forth. And Rona was at home crying her eyes out because I'd left her. I left for another 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks, wherever it was. And it was really challenging. She had 2 little boys at that time, Eden and Malachi, and we were due to have our third. And I was working for BP, and it was a really well-paid job. I can tell you that now. It was a really well-paid job. Loads of zeros at the end. I was a company medic, and the Spirit of the Lord just woke me up one day. It was challenging. Rona's at home, not doing well, and I was away at work. I was working money, but what for? So the Spirit of the Lord just told me one day, just resign. So I resigned from there. I rang up Rona, and I'm working a lot of money here. And I go, babes, I want to resign. She goes, yeah, okay, that's all right with me. Yeah. So you can understand that she wasn't feeling great being at home in that big house on her own. And she had moved to Leicester. Her family is Nottingham. So, but she was working in Nottingham. Yeah.
And you'd reduced it part-time, wasn't it, at that point?
Yeah.
traveling over. So you thought you want to add anything in that part of it?
No.
No. Okay. So we'll go back. So we then started hearing. We'd always wanted, even before I got married, I was always looking for property in Scotland. Our first like holiday together was in Scotland, wasn't it? We went to Scotland with Robert and his wife Paula. We traveled. Robert passed over Hines. We traveled up there, and we had a fantastic time. We loved it. So we were looking at now country living. Somebody had come to our house, Sean and Tessa Anderson, and they were introduced us to veganism proper. And I really don't know when country living sort of started. Was it over when the financial collapse?
No, we were homeschooling. We started homeschooling Eden at that point because when he was coming up to the age of say starting school, there was a big discussion in the media about introducing sex education to 5-year-olds, and it really picked our attention, and we were like, no, I don't think we want this for our children. So we then started looking at the idea of homeschooling, and then I decided to reduce my hours at work, and then we started homeschooling. And in Kefenlee, there's family camp. So we decided to go to family camp, and it was there that our understanding of home education, country living, and so forth, came about, and we started looking at it seriously. And then we started discussing it and making some changes.
Plans. Yeah, that's right. Because we had a mortgage, and we decided we need to get rid of that. So I had a property, my little bachelor pad in Nottingham still. And so we decided to sell up this house and return back, get rid of the tenants and return back to Nottingham. At the same time, my sister was also voicing aspects of, having a country home. And she and ourselves went out to Jamaica one time, and she located the property, thought it'd be good. And so long story short, we sold and went to there. We sold up the place in Nottingham after selling here. The thing, though, I want Rona to add this aspect is when we were going, before we went there, we saw a video. There's two aspects, two people I think we need to mention. Dwayne Lemon. I saw a video with Dwayne Lemon, and he tells his testimony of how he acquired his land, where he was living, his country home. It was an amazing testimony. He was at home, he was looking at property, and he needed to go and sort it out the next day, either yeah or no, but he didn't have the funds for it. That very evening, before the next day, somebody came and visited him, and they were talking. I don't know what they talked about, but in the morning, he went off to this meeting with the realtor, etc., the solicitor, attorney, whatever, and he was sat down in the meeting, and he got out of the meeting about 3 times, pretending, because he didn't know what to do, because he didn't have the money to sign. He wanted to sign. His property was everything they needed. And he would go, oh, I just need to get a call, and he'd go outside and come back in, and is everything all right, Mr. Lemon? Yes, fine, everything. And eventually his wife rang him, and she was there. She goes, honey, I was cleaning up today, and there was an envelope on the mantelpiece above the fire, whatever, and in the envelope was exactly what he needed, cash. Cash or check? Check for the deposit on the house. And I'm like, are you real? So anyway, so this is happening. And then Rona didn't want to go to Jamaica because the property was in Jamaica. She didn't want to go. She's from Montserrat. She didn't really want to go to Jamaica. You tell us on that.
Okay, so this is at the point of contemplating going to Jamaica. Yes. So we were looking at country because we decided that we were going to move, and I had my heart set on moving to Scotland. And Ernest, we were looking at different places. We had taken the children.
1 second. The year is approximately 2012.
No, 2012 was when Matthias was
Yeah.
born.
So when we were deciding, he was born in Bridge.
Yeah.
So when we were looking at considering this,
20. Oh, yeah, because we moved in 2013,
yes,
didn't we?
so it's
So
about
it's about
yeah, about
2012.
2012.
Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
So, so what was I saying just now?
You were deciding to contemplate.
Yeah, so we had loved France as well because we had taken the three younger children over on a holiday to France, and we had traveled through the countryside, and we saw that there was loads of homes there that were empty, and
Moved
you
to
know
the cities.
that's right, people were moving out to the cities, and we thought, oh, it'd be nice to get somewhere there, but then and they were cheap as well. But when we contemplated being a migrant into the country, we decided it's probably not a good idea, you know. So we started looking elsewhere, and Robert was sending us properties from the States, and they looked cheap as well. But then when we factored everything, we're like, no, not the States. And both of us really didn't like the States that much, not for living, but just for holiday. And so, but I had my heart set on Scotland. We were looking in Scotland, but the properties there were quite expensive at the time. So Ernest started looking in Jamaica, and I didn't. We had discussions about it, and I just made it very clear that I'm not interested going to Jamaica. So that brought problems.
Discord.
Discord, yes, between both of us because I had my heart set on one place and he had. So he was planning to move to Jamaica and I was planning not to move to Jamaica. And I know that we had our property or his property up for sale. So I was thinking, okay, if he's going to go to Jamaica, where am I going to live? So I started looking for somewhere to live with myself and the kids because obviously the kids are going to stay with me. So we were at odds and so uh it came down, it got really bad, and the Lord, just had to speak to me and says, you know what, your prayers aren't being heard. And I felt this over a period of time. Every time I prayed, it was like I was hitting a wall. And I could literally hear the Lord telling me, your prayers aren't being heard. and and the reason why he said that my prayers weren't being heard because I was fighting against my husband. And I'm thinking, Lord, well, what about what I want? Did that not get a look in? Does not that get a consideration? Why does it have to be always what he wants? Or, stuff like that. So, and it went on for a while, and I had to think about it, reflect, and says, okay, if I stay here in the UK and my husband leaves and go to Jamaica, and the Lord is saying that my prayers are not being heard, then it means that I am literally lost. Because if the Lord is not hearing your prayers, then that's it. And I then had to consider, what do I want more? Do I want what I wanted more in staying in the UK, or do I want a relationship with my Lord? And it started to change from what I wanted or what Ernest wanted, and it was more what the Lord wants of me, and I wanted to please him. And but before I came to that decision, I spoke to two individuals. Margaret Davis was one of them. She's an old lady in Canada, and she preaches a lot about righteousness by faith. And I decided, because I used to listen to a lot of her sermons, and I decided to give her a call. And I explained the whole situation to her. And she told me what I didn't want to hear. And that it was basically that I needed to go along with my husband, work with him. And it was like swallowing a brick wall, you know, and
Just a brick,
yeah.
a brick wall.
Right, yeah. And then I spoke to another friend, a close friend, and she also told me the same thing. And I knew that I had to seriously not
Mm.
think about what I wanted, but what the Lord wanted me to do. And so I then made the decision, you know, to deny self and to go with the Lord's leading. So I then made the decision to go along with the plans to go to Jamaica. And then after I made that decision, things just improved in the home in terms of Ernest and myself planning together as opposed to on his own. And then it just
Yeah.
became better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were some hiccups. We had some scammers with regards to containers when we went out there. We took a little time to get my citizenship, passport, etc., sorted out, and the children had to apply for my dad. We kind of got all that sorted, and then we went over. When we went over, initially stopped with my uncle in Montego Bay, and then we went over to Lucille's place in Malvern. Beautiful place up in the hills, Santa Cruz Mountains. You see whirlwinds in the air. You look right down into Treasure Beach, beautiful beach down there where I nearly lost Malachi and Kachoa drowned them. And yeah, it was a wonderful experience up there. Challenging because it's hot, but it is the breadbasket of Jamaica, and that's why we went there. And then my uncle invited us to come back, and we stopped in St. James, back in the family home, my mum's family home in Kensington, St. James. And my dad is from Maroontown, just further along the road. So I've got some pictures now. Whilst we were there, we met an English fellow. No, he's not an English fellow. He's a Portuguese Jew. And we had just been reading a book, and there's a whole story about how we met him, but I won't go into that. He had some land. His family owned at one point a quarter of Jamaica, slave owners. But we got on like a house on fire, and yet he was so contrary to everything I, as a Seventh-day Adventist, would hang with. He was not saying I don't hang with Caucasians. I love them, but he was a Caucasian. He was of slave owner stock. He was gay, he was an alcoholic, and he was a drug addict. All of those things, maybe, why did we get on so well? Maybe. Less said about that, but we got on very well. And we met him once, and that was it. You know, my mum met him, your mum met him. We'd go back and he'd come across when he was drunk, he'd have to come around the house. Ernest, you know, oh, okay, yeah. And he'd have a demon in him when he was drunk. But there you go. He had a piece of land, and it was up in the hill, beautiful, beautiful, very what would you say, exclusive. And he said he would like to give it to us or sell it to us. So I think you should buy this land. So Rhonda didn't really want it at the time. She had looked at it though initially, but she wasn't uncertain because it had some aspects to it. And then the Lord just came to me, and Ellen White says that the Lord will, provide land for you, people of means, where you will be able to buy a parcel of land at a reasonable rate. And that's exactly what happened. It was very reasonable. In fact, more than reasonable. He paid the fees, the solicitor's fees, the taxes.
And he reduced the initial price.
And he reduced the price that he was selling it to somebody else for. And that's because we became friends with him.
Yeah.
You know, he even came to church one time. He was drunk, but there you go. He used to get drunk on his horse. He used to ride a horse. And he'd get drunk, and his horse would take him all the way back home. Everyone knew him. So that was it. So this is the land. Let's see if I can get it up. Okay, so that's the land. That's the parcel of land. It's just over 5 acres, and that's Kempshot. So, and then this is our drive up there. Those columns, those stone columns, the boys and I put together. You can see how wonky they are. But this was our first hands-on job of stonemason. Yeah, stonemason. I was so proud of them. We got a chain across it, it had a padlock. It looked great. It looked great. And then this is a view. This is the view down the Queen's Valley. The Queen's Valley runs from right to left, and it runs all the way down into Montego Bay. And it's a beautiful, beautiful view. But this place up here is thick with bush. I mean, bush. So it was very challenging. One of the aspects I found,
the bush had a lot of ants.
And the bush had a lot of ants. But we used to camp up there. It was absolutely fantastic. Had a couple of buildings up there. We had a container tents, little showers and everything. Building a bath. It was brilliant. So we used to go up there. So during COVID, we would go up there. So this is us. This is us in Kensington. Eden the eldest is taking a picture, and that's the 6 of them. That little one there. We didn't vaccinate any of our children. And the last one, we decided that we were going to have at home delivery, just Rona, myself, and the good Lord and his angels. They were the midwives, mid-men, whoever they want to call them. So, yeah, it was a fantastic birth. It was the easiest of the lot. So we really had an interesting time. So this was us about to go up to Kempshot. How far was it? 7 miles?
Yeah.
7 miles. So the children would ride there on the road. And if you know Jamaica's roads, it was very challenging. Very, very challenging. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Okay, I need to get this down. So, yeah. So it was very, very challenging. But we'd go there. So Ron and myself and the 2 babies would go, and the rest of the children would be on their bikes and cycling over to Kempshot, 7 miles. We'd spend the day there, planting up, weeding out, harvesting before the thieves came, etc., etc., etc. So, but it was a very challenging experience. We had a little deli over there. What we found that in all the steps that we've made, we could not do it without family. We went over there. Lucia was helping us, and we always, you need a support. Mamadou spoke last week about community. It's so important to have that. And no man is an island. And as it says in Exodus, if their family is too small for the lamb, then another family is to join, and they are to share in the sacrifice of that lamb and eat and consume. So it kind of tells you that you need that aspect. Now, country living for me is fundamental. In the book of Daniel, the situation with Nebuchadnezzar when he for 7 years is driven out from man. He has 2 things presented: the health message and country living. When Daniel went into Babylon, the king wanted them to eat his food. And they stood up and says, no, prove us. And then towards the end of his tenure, Nebuchadnezzar, the true king, wanted him to eat his food. And he ate the grass of the field for 7 years. And the rain fell on him. And he was driven out from man. But the testimony of it is his hair and his nails grew lustrous. Forget about Absalom. Absalom pulled his hair once a year. Nebuchadnezzar had 7 years of growth of hair, an awesome amount. It must have been 7 feet long, and his nails were just, But anyway, at the end of that tenureship, he looked up to heaven, and his wisdom and great honor was added to him. The health message is so important, and country living is important. When you're in the country, you hear and see the Lord so much more. Arthur and Lucia run programs at Manor House, country living, taste the weekends. They're absolutely fantastic. They live on the edge of Neiman Bar, lovely place. Fields, deer. It's wonderful, and people don't have that experience of knowing what it's like in the country. So let's move on. So, yes. So this is a point. At this point, we're working. We go out there. 10 years you gave me, didn't you?
Yes. As soon as, I think within the first year that, first few months that,
first week.
First few months that we landed in Jamaica, I was ready to come back. So I remember going out shopping with Ernest one day in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And before he came out of the car, I just stopped him and I said, Ernst, I'm ready to go back. And because my idea of country living wasn't what I was experiencing. Because
just hold it for a second. Can you guys still hear us? Hello? Can you guys still hear us?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
I was just saying our internet, because we're out in the country, you see, it's unstable. Okay, go on.
Yeah, so yeah, I told him that I was ready to go back to the UK, and he said, "Oh, we are just arrived into the country," and the reason was because my idea of country living, as how Ellen G. White had described it, where you take the children out of the cities into the country where they're not influenced by the environment, and what I was seeing there wasn't what I wanted for our kids, where they were exposed to a lot of naked women just walking the streets, people just swearing, vulgar music and all sorts of stuff. So I didn't really appreciate it, and I just told him straight away that I was ready to go back, and he was like, "Oh, I was hoping that we could be here for like 10 years."
25 years, I said 25 years.
10 years. And I was like, why 10 years?
She did an Abraham on me. But what if we can do 15? Okay, we can do 15. What if we could do 12? Okay, we could do 12. What if we do 10? 10, 9, no.
So I was like, why 10 years? What do you need to accomplish within 10 years? And he just said, give me 10 years. I was like, oh, if I must, okay, 10 years. And 10 years it was.
Yeah, so coming up towards the end of the 10 years, the year before, so we flew out 2013 to Jamaica, February 2013. That's when this adventure began. And so 2022, we were deciding what we were going to do. So are we going to stay? Are we going to go? I didn't mind. I didn't mind. It had been a challenging time. We were alive. It had been a challenging time. And when I say we were alive, believe me, we were alive. How many murders, people getting shot? How many times did I have to attend to people? Twice? Twice, and getting shot. The guy across the road, and the guy got stabbed, and and the boys in the market, they get and motorbike, road traffic accidents. Oh, forget it. So we were alive by God's grace. So we were deciding, okay, what we're going to do. I didn't really mind. I could stay, but I wanted to do what God wanted us to do. So for the first time in my life, I put God to a test. When I met my wife, I took one look at those legs, and in her jeans, I knew that was mine. I didn't have to pray about that. I didn't have to pray about that. That was a prayer. Thank you, Father. That was a prayer. These are aspects, but this was the first time in my life that I truly asked the Lord what to do. So I gave him the Gideon test. I goes, if a certain thing happened, Father, then I'll know you want me to go back. And I just left it. Didn't think about it. Carried on. It sort of happened, but it wasn't quite exactly what it was. And I praise the Lord for Rona, because I told her, I didn't tell her what I told her I was going to do it to get in touch. She said that she didn't want to know what it was. Just keep it to yourself. I goes, okay. It came forth and bore fruit, but it wasn't the whole fruit. So I told her then, I goes, I need to tell you because this has happened. I showed her a text that had come through, and she goes, well, that's not quite it, is it? I goes, right, yeah. So even though she's been longing to go home, from the time she was on the plane out, she wanted to go home. She still wanted to do what the Lord wanted us to do. The very next day, so that was in the morning at 9 o'clock. The very next day, 9 o'clock, I got exactly the sign. Exactly. And so I saw it on the text on the phone, and I took the phone to her. I goes, hey, look at this. She was in the kitchen, I remember. And a big smile broke out of her face. I goes, you're going home, babes. That was it. 3 days later, I broke my neck. That was a Thursday. On Sunday, I was in hospital at Cornwall,
Mm.
um, in a very bad way. You know, stopped breathing. My boys had to resuscitate me. Devil was trying to kill me every which way. I had to discharge myself from the hospital. Didn't get. Oh, it was a torrid time. Yeah. So
Mm.
there were some pictures of that, but I just didn't really want to put them in. Everyone goes, no, you're not going to put that in. Are you? Yeah, let's just forget that. So the next picture is us after getting rid of a lot of stuff and um, some stuff we just left there,
Mm.
everything, cars, vehicles, and stuff. Uncles and everything got those. We just were heading home. So this was June
Mm.
2023. June 2023.
Yeah.
So she did a bit extra, did extra time. You should have been paid for that, right?
That's right.
Time and a half, right? So this is us on the flight coming home. It was a Virgin flight. It was the worst flight I've ever. That was terrible, but it was great. As you can see, everyone's happy. It was the Lord's hand on it anyway, because even we were late. Well, even myself, we were late getting there, but I'm so glad we were late because the food was terrible, and we had diverted to get some food. And my uncle was cussing on the phone. Now he's a Seventh-day Adventist dynamo. He was cussing on the phone about where am I, where am I? And I was driving through Montego Bay like SWAT, with a big old Land Rover, driving people off the road, driving through. Every light was going through for me. I was like, yeah. Edith, we're late. I'm blaming you. Yeah. Sort of stuff. And we screeched up. He just took the keys, and we got in. And because I'd been injured, I was taking CBD oil, cannabis, really, straight Jamaican cannabis, and it was in my pocket. It was oil. It was just it was oil. I didn't smoke anything. It wasn't recreational, folks. Right? It wasn't recreational. It was medicinal. Right? I was taking. I fell over today. We're at the back of the chalet, clearing out something, and I fell over, and I got a pain in my neck because it was a heavy fall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it still happened. So I went through customs, security, and it was only when I got through I thought, oh, I got this ganja in my pocket, a bottle of ganja oil in my pocket. It was just, I'm thinking that is only the Lord, because I'm going through security, image, and everything, and it was there. So it was just like the hand of the Lord. So we're all there, happy. So we come back after,
and just in case anybody's got big question marks with regards to the ganja oil, Ernest was in so much severe pain that when he came home from the hospital, and the kids were all really happy to see him home, and our baby girl,
that little one being kissed by Couture on the flight,
baby girl went close by because they had prepared food for him, and one rice grain fell on his leg, and he was in pain from just a rice grain.
I thought somebody had hit me.
Yeah.
I thought somebody had struck me.
It
hurt that much.
And all the medication that they had given him could not touch the pain. Yeah. And there was this lady who had moved from the UK many years ago in Jamaica to Jamaica, and she does these rubs using the herb. So it's got other stuff in it, like wintergreen and beeswax and stuff. And as soon as you apply the rub onto his back and area, it would go in seconds. But and one night he woke me up. This was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and he had a seizure. And I was really scared because I had not come across that before. And I was just praying, and I was singing, asking the Lord to help this to go away because I didn't know what to do. And nothing would work. And he said that the Lord was telling him, because the lady had given us the oil a long time ago, but we never used it. And the Lord was telling him to go and get the oil, go and get the oil. And then he told me to go and get the oil, and I dropped some on his in his mouth. It
wasn't just some; it was a whole heap.
Yeah, I guess my hands were shaking as well. And within seconds, the seizure had just stopped.
Dropped out that water from my backside.
Just stopped.
Just stopped
straight away. And this was amazing because
King of Herbs.
Yeah, that was the only thing that was giving him release from pain. So yes.
Yeah.
So carry on.
So yeah, so we left Jamaica and we came over to the UK and we were flat. We didn't have any funds. Our funds had been put into getting home. Our funds had been put into the land.
Hmm.
So we didn't have any resources of funds behind us now.
Yeah.
And we'd sold the business to raise things to get capital for this and that.
Hmm.
So Arthur and Luso, bless them, put us up. We initially with your mom in Nottingham, and then they said, "Well, come up and stop with us." And they had a house just around the corner from them, and it was a really good time. And we were there at Potlands, and then we went and they had a chalet,
Yeah.
and we were living with them for a while. And this is where this testimony starts to kick off.
Hmm.
It starts to kick off.
Yeah.
So, where does it start?
Because I always, well, when we were in Jamaica, I was looking for properties in the UK. This was even before we Ernest had asked the Lord,
Right.
what do we do? Do we
Yeah.
stay or do we return? But all during COVID, I was looking at properties in the UK, still not just in the UK, but in Scotland. And we came across a property, everybody loved it. And we made all the inquiries, but it just did not happen. So when we came back to the
No, we didn't step forward in faith.
Yeah. So when we came back to the UK, and we were staying at in Lehman Bar, we were always on the go, looking, viewing properties.
Going up to Scotland.
Yes. Not knowing how we were going to acquire them, but we made arrangements for viewing and so forth. And then we
also were fasting on a Friday.
Yeah.
And an important adjunct here I want to include, he may be vexed with me. We would all fast, but my eldest son and my second son, they had started working locally in the McDonald's.
Yeah.
And he afterwards admitted that he never used to fast on a Friday. He never used to fast. When he used to go to McDonald's, he'd be scoffing his food. And we'd be at home fasting on a Friday. Okay, so this was happening. So we were going back and forth trying to find properties. I went down to work in East Midlands and away from home. That wasn't really working. Look for a job. So then I think the point here is you started your fast.
Yes. Yeah. I started a 21-day fast, and then Ernest decided to join me on the last 7 days. And that was an amazing experience. And then during that time, we had seen the property that we're currently on, and I showed it to Ernest, and he said, "Oh, I wouldn't pay that money for it." So I just left it. And then
it disappeared. It went off.
Yes. And then it was like a month later, the kids would normally sometime look for properties as well. And then our last boy, he came across the same property and he showed it to his dad, and it had reduced by 30,000. And then he showed it to Ernest, and Ernest was like, "Okay, now that's worth taking an interest in." So
were you fasting at the time?
Probably.
I think so.
June that I started fasting.
I think you were in your fast. Because that's why he showed it to me, because you were miserable in the.
I was in the bed.
Miserable as sin. Why? I'll tell you. 21 days, people.
So,
prison sentence. Get less for murder.
So yes,
yes, you were in your fast. I joined you for the last 7 days. Amazing aspects for fasting. We found that she told me on the 4th day, all mucus dropped out. I was like, all right, okay, yeah. When I joined the 4th day, all the mucus dropped out. I've just completed another 7 day. 4th day, actually, this time I got a nosebleed. And then the morning of the 5th day, about 1 o'clock, a couple of days ago, mucus just drops out. It clears you out. You feel so much better, and you can hear the voice of the Lord.
Yeah.
So we saw the property and we were
Yeah.
keen on it.
Yeah.
We were keen on it. We had been looking for a rental property, so we thought, let's move up north to Scotland. So we're underground because it takes us 6-7 hours to go to some of these places.
Yeah.
It's a long drive, etc. And all the children might be there, and all this sorts of stuff. So it's a really so anyway, we were looking for a rental property. So we saw a rental property which we thought would work. So Eden, Rona, and myself and 2 baby girls decided we'll drive up. The rest of the kids stayed at home. So we drove. This, I think, was the first time Eden had gone up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first time Eden had gone up there. It's important to have your firstborn on board. Yeah, I'm just telling everyone now. Firstborn on board makes things work. Yeah, and that's why the adversary wants to destroy the firstborn of Israel. Okay, he hates the representative of Yeshua. I'm just talking a spiritual thing now. So we all drive up there, and we go and look at this rental property. It's not floating. We see all sorts of iconic things on the house. That was the thing that sold it in the end. It had its challenges. It was big. It just didn't really go. And then my son said, "Oh look, it's got on the front door." I went, "Oh right, no." But then we went to visit a friend. They're upstairs still. Country living. They've got their small tiny home. Got their land borehole. We went to find them. Couldn't find them. Could we? Couldn't find them. And so I thought, well, let's take a butcher's and have a look at that property we saw. We found it. Parked right up in the drive where we are now. And we went around it. And as I walked across this land, I felt an immense feeling that this was it. This was really it. It had a chalet, it had a JCB digger. The place looked okay inside from the pictures. Outside, it had the land, it had a river. I thought, this is it. This is not bad. Whilst we were there, though, people were looking at the property. So it had quite a few people. And even yesterday, there was a woman said she popped around, she just stopped, started talking to Rona.
Yeah.
Chanting, saying, "Oh, I was looking at the property, blah, 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 blah." And the person down the road, they said they were looking at it, and the boss was looking at it.
Yeah.
Whilst I was here, I turned to Eden, Eden, what do you think? What do you think? What did he say, Eden? He said it looks good. It looks good. Okay. I was like, yeah. I fell over a couple of times, didn't I, in the grass? I think he picked me up. I had Daddy's falling over. And then they all came rushing to me. So, and picked me out of the grass. Anyway, so we went back and we came home. And then so that's what it was beforehand. Yeah, so this is what it was. He's done a lot of work. It's an old mill house. It's the miller's house. So behind us is the mill itself, which is a much larger building. So this is where the miller lived. This is the mill cottage. And behind us, Rob and Emma live. They have the water wheel and everything, and the dam which backs up the waters further up the road, and then they get ahead of water, lift it out, it rushed around and turn the wheel around. So we came back and we liked it. Rona's fasting now. I'm fasting. We finished our fast. The Lord is testing us. In the interim, somebody rings us up and goes, "Look, they need several thousands. We don't have anything." So we had to go around and find that money to give it to them. We didn't ask them. This is what happened. We didn't. In no point did we say we were going to loan it to them. We were going to give them the money because of the situation they were in. We were going to, take it. The Lord had tested us at that point, 100%.
In the funds, but they had asked for help, and we wanted to help them, so we were able to borrow this money from
Peter to pay Paul.
That's right.
To give to Paul. So so I have a private pension, 55. As soon as at 55, in fact, a year before, I was telling him I'm going to be retiring at 55. I'm going to claim it and cash it out. So we had banked everything. So we were trying to work out the financial aspects of it. How are we going to pay for this? So we can get our mortgage, we can then get a bridging loan, and we can then do this, and then hopefully we'll get this in place, and blah 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 blah. So we had arranged it. We had arranged the bridging loan. but unbeknownst to us, it was only like an advisory. So on the day of the auction, what, can I go there?
Yeah.
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 On the day of the auction, I'd spoken to the auctioneers and we built a really good communication with them. And they had told us, when you go, register immediately. And my brother-in-law, Arthur, he's a bit of a whiz kid with houses. He actually concurs the same thing. I heard him saying the same thing the other day. Put your bid on straight away. Because if you put your bid on, it can stop the auction house bidding against the wall and making it look like people are there. But when I was up there, when we were up there, standing right at the back where that little green thing is, just there, I was there and I prayed to the Lord. I goes, Lord, make it so nobody else sees the property. Because there were people there, I rang them up and I put an offer in. He goes, oh, mate, I've had offers already higher than that and it's been turned down. Like this.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interest on the property. So the day of the auction turned up, we get online. We saw it for 250,000 online. I thought, what? It had blown our budget straight away. So we're like, oh no, I was crestfallen. I flung myself down on the couch like Adam when he couldn't find a helpmeet for him. I was just down. I was like, oh no. And then someone just kicked me up my backside and said, get up and get on. So I rang the people, didn't I? I rang the auction house and they goes, oh no, it'll drop down. That is.
Yeah.
So
because the actual auction hadn't started, it hadn't gone live. So he said at the point, it was 10 o'clock.
Yes.
You will see the live button come up.
And
then when that happened, the actual price dropped from the 250 back down to what it was.
Yeah, 140, 150.
Yeah.
Around there.
Yeah.
So I did not listen to the advice and I didn't do it. I thought, let me just come in at the last minute sort of thing. Anyway, so we're there. How long before we were deciding to bid? Half an hour?
Yes, half an hour before.
The bridging loan guy rings up. He goes, oh, Mr. Hines, your bridging loan has been declined. I go, what? I thought it was all sorted. He goes, no, that was a decision in principle, but they're looking at it as a rural property and they won't be able to make any money on it. So it's been declined. I'm looking forward to I'm see if I can get you something. I went, all right, mate, not a problem. Put the phone down. This is half an hour before I was going to bid, and it was going to close in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So I just thought,
no, it was going to close in half an hour.
It was going to close in half an hour. Right. So my dear wife turns around and goes, that's it then, isn't it? Sort of thing. Yeah.
No, you came to me and said, what are we going to do? And I said, what can we do? The decision has already been made.
Yeah. We can't.
Because we haven't got any money.
Yeah. Ain't got nothing now, people. Yeah, the pension hadn't even come through. We were still, it was in July. My birthday was in June, and I saw no head, no tail of it. So we were like, okay, no, we can't do nothing. And then I don't understand it, but this is the Lord. The Lord turned around and gave me one slap. And I turned back to my wife and goes, well, I'm gonna put the bid on. And she was looking at me, I gasped, what are you talking about? And I goes, this is faith.
No, I said, you said,
I sounded good. You tell me what happened. I'll tell the story.
Yeah, you turned away and started walking towards the computer. And I said, what are you doing? You said, I'm going to place a bid. And I said, are you mad? Can't you hear? We have no money. Because if you go and place the bid and it gets accepted,
you've got to pay for it. No. You've got till the end of the day, which was like maybe an hour and a half after that closing, to pay 10% plus 3% auction fees.
Yes, and then 28 days to pay the whole lot. We have no money. So, and then you said, this is faith, and all I could do, I was like, what?
All you could do was run to the loo.
All I could do was just hand it over to the Lord. And I just whispered a prayer and I said, dear Lord, you see what's happening here. If you want us to have this property, you allow it to go through. If not, shut the door. Shut the door, because I don't want any problems of us having to pay something that we can't afford.
So this is an aspect where it was like the Dwayne Lemon. He was at the meeting, didn't have any money, but he was praying to the Lord continually. So this wasn't a step into the unknown, because I know why it talks about experimental faith. And then there's experiential faith. And experiential faith is when you know something has happened before. So Yahshua turning or praying over the loaves and the fishes and it multiplying is an experiential faith. It had happened before, but was it Elisha?
Yeah.
Elisha at the school of the prophets, when this guy brought his first fruits offering and there were 100 men, plus obviously sundries, and they said, he goes, set it before the people. And he goes, well, how is this going to feed 100 people? And he goes, set it before the people. For the Lord said, everybody going to fill and they're going to be left. And there's going to be left. And so certainly they did that, just that. They set the food before the people and there was left. So these are experiences that have happened before. Now, Ellen White is telling us we need to do experimental faith. Experimental faith is when it hasn't happened before. Experimental faith is like Joshua, when he asks the sun, Panyasa, and moon, don't ever bother come up. You know, that's experimental faith. It's never been done before, but you're asking the Lord to do it. And he comes through for it. And that, so our experience here was an experiential faith. It wasn't
new.
It wasn't new.
Yeah.
Somebody I knew had already done it. So this was an aspect that we were just rekindling. So, and if I hadn't heard it, so now you hear my testimony, which is on the back of Dwayne Lemon's testimony, you're going to provide your own testimony in a very same situation. That's the experience that you're going to experience. So we are there. So I put the bid on and it doesn't move. It doesn't move. Because before that, it was going up. Yeah. And that was me.
It went up about 3 times.
Yeah, it went up 15,000, 5,000 each time, wasn't it? And if I'd have put it on first, as Arthur would tell me today, I would have saved myself 15,000. Nonetheless, it went up. I put the bid on. It didn't go up again. And then the kids were counting down. You know what kids are like, excited when it comes to like this. You know, they were counting down 5,
10,
4,
9, 8.
Yeah. And then it went and it stopped. And we're like, is it gonna? And the eyes are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And we suddenly realized, did it say you'd won?
He said, yeah, you won.
And everyone was screaming and hollering. I think they must have heard us in heaven. And I was just amazed because I was gobsmacked.
I was in shock.
We fell into each other's arms and we were crying, right? We were crying in the chalet, literally crying in the chalet. Unbelievable. All that we'd hoped for. Ron had hoped for this for a long time, you know, and, you know, all that we'd hoped for, suddenly it had just borne fruit. It was there. You still had to pay for it. So by the end of that day, I don't know how we cribbed together.
Yeah.
Was it
the 10% plus the 3% auction fee?
So we got that and we paid for it. Okay. And then we had a couple of days where we were just relaxed in.
And then we had 28 days now to find the balance. That's the 90%.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh man, let's not think about it for the next few days.
That's right. That's right. So I was talking to somebody and they mentioned it. It goes, oh, you know, you couldn't by any chance lend us some funds and stuff. And oh, how much do you need? And I go, oh yeah, I ain't got that sort of stuff. And then lo and behold, somebody rang up and said, look, you know what? Why didn't you ask me? You need some funds.
Yeah, while we were on the phone to this other person, we got a text from this other person and they said, why didn't you ask me? How much do you need? So
I didn't know how much we needed. I turned to the mechanics of mathematician here and asked her, how much do we need? And she worked it out.
No, you ended the call from the first.
Yeah, and then we were working it out. And then that person called us.
Yes.
The person asked us how much we need. And we were there, lying in bed, and we told them.
Yeah.
And they goes, okay, I'll take care of it. Just like that.
And then you said, what do you mean? When you say take care of it, are you talking about all of it? And they said, yes.
Yeah, just like that. So that's great. Okay. So you say somebody's provided you with some funds. Brilliant. This is the bit which tells you it's the Lord's working.
Yeah.
So we were expecting Rona's figure from my pension, what we're expecting to get. Came to a certain amount and they filled up the balance. We then saw that they had deposited 10,000 extra £10,000 extra into our account.
So when the person started sending us the money, and we tallied because they couldn't send it in one lump sum. When we started tallying it up, we noticed that it was 10,000 too much. So we contacted them and said, "You've paid us 10,000 more than what we had told you." So they said, "Okay, I'll send you my account details so you can return that money back to me." And then the next day they called and says, "You know what? You hold on to that money because as you're moving house, you might need the money for transportation and to set up and all these sort of stuff." So yeah, that's what happened.
And I'd asked her, I asked him, so I did, the Spirit just told me to do it. Just leave it, that's fine. Yeah. And this was to be paid back, but there's no usury, no interest. And when we got it, please return it. Okay. So we were like grateful. But anyway, I was kicking because 28 days is coming, and I'm kicking my pension. It's a private pension from working offshore, Virgin, and they were terrible, absolutely terrible at this point. And every day I'm calling up saying, "Where is this? Where is it?" So when it came through, it was £10,000 short of what we expected. That's the handwriting on the wall. That said, irrespective of what you do, I have it covered. And we were just gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked. It was exactly exactly that. It was 10,000 short. We then,
So the Lord had, if you do not pick this bit up, is that even before we knew that the funds were going to be short, the Lord had made provision in advance by allowing this person to give us that extra 10,000 to cover the shortfall of what HMRC had taken out.
Yeah. So the Lord works for it in big aspects like this. He also works for it, as you know, in small. Yesterday, somebody called up, and I bought this flora, margarine's flora spread, but it has rapeseed in it. And, rapeseed is clear. Don't use rapeseed, people. So it had rapeseed in it, and I was like, oh, I don't want it. So, but they use it. And if they want to use it, fine. I was going to give it to them. So they rang up and goes, "Oh, have you got that spread?" I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem. I'll be coming around. I'll pop around and we'll get some water and stuff like this and everything." So as I was driving out, someone just told me, "Let's stop at Aldi and see if we've got any discount bread." So we stopped at Aldi, and there was, I thought, 2 loaves. I saw Eden come back with 2 loaves, and then he goes, "Oh, I got 3," and he told me, extolling the virtues of the discount he'd received. Okay, I'm like, great, 3 for the price of 1. Can't beat that. So we drive up to these people, and I thought, well, I'll give them a loaf of bread with, it'd be nice. Give it to them. They came out and they said, "You know what? We just sent our son to go and get some bread. He came back with the wrong type. He's got white bread, and it was actually a wholemeal that we wanted. And then you turn up with wholemeal and the butter, and this was like a feast. It was just." Everyone was just like, "This is the Lord. This is the Lord." So obviously I gave him another loaf of bread to just, warm the cockles of their hearts. So, but yeah, he works in the big things, hundreds, tens, scores of thousands of pounds to get you a home. And he'll work on the little things, a loaf of bread. He is a God of all beginnings. It's amazing. So this is our beginning. This is the house before we got it. So that porch is no longer there. That's now the house inside. When looking from the road. So that original house was just a bit to the right. That bit to the left is the kitchen, and it's an extension that was put on there some time back, as you can imagine. That's the same perspective looking up the side there. That little thing in the far in the distance is just we're putting up a greenhouse. And it's starting to look bad. First fruits, people. I had this last week. I was eating this. I mentioned this. This was Well, first fruits is we're going to be giving first fruits away, but these are our first sort of spring. These are overwintered with some. It's garlic there, isn't it? Beside
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So looking nice and healthy. Obviously, we have the river beside us, so it's a blessing. It truly is a blessing. We can.
Because especially now there's a drought in the UK,
That's what
we can
promoting.
make use of the river. Yeah, to help water.
That's Eden streaming out. It's got a lot to do. It's him on his own. He's working there. Firstborn at work. Amen. Amen. And that's our digger. We inherited that. Well, we paid for that. It's part of the came with the land. It works well. Removing stone, moving soil, moving dirt, digging out things what we need. It's just fantastic to have it. And we don't have any water at the moment because we are not off grid, but we're off grid for water. And so we capture the rainwater. Yeah, and there's the two IBCs at the bottom. They have kerosene fuel in. The one to the left is also kerosene fuel. Where if we come across anybody giving it away or anything like that, or we need to buy some, we'll put it in the back of the van. Have a pump. We pump it in. That's what he's doing there. But that's the water pump. That hose going up there. He's pumping in water up to the top, and then that hose pipe coming from the front of the IBC is connected to the washing machine. And that little unit to the bottom right is our pizza oven. So that's where we do stuff like that. We, kind of
living in off-grid life.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, this is the borehole. The metal pipe that's 150 meters deep. It's really, really deep. Most people around here go about 20 meters.
Yeah.
But the guy, he was a solicitor, used to play for England curling.
Yeah.
He decided to go deep with his borehole. So water's down there. And then behind it is the ground source heat pump. And the foundational area you'll see is we've got to build a house over the top of that. So in winter, it doesn't freeze. It'll have the filter, UV lamp, a warmer. It'll have a little heater in there, which will keep the place warm. And so it won't freeze. So we'll be able to utilize that.
So that is yet to be connected into the house.
Yeah, we didn't realize it was we thought the two of them were the borehole.
Yeah.
But then somebody came along and goes, no, that's your ground source heat pump, the one in the white. And we went and bought a oil boiler.
Yeah, but I think we'll need it. So.
Yeah, we're going to go for the oil boiler
as well.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah.
Having redundancy, so you have a wood burning stove and a wood burning range cooker with back boilers that can heat water, heat the home, and also cook the food. And then you have the oil boiler as well. I'm not thinking about the ground source heat pump because it's electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. Yeah. This is our wood stove because it's wood burning stoves in the house. A wood burning stove in the lounge. There was one in the what's now going to be the bedroom, which is the second reception room. It's our bedroom. We're not in there yet. We're still sleeping in the lounge.
Yeah.
Still sleeping in the lounge. I sleep on a chair. My wife sleeps on.
The kids are all settled into their bedrooms, but we're yet to finish off our bedroom so that we can move in. But one of the blessings when we came, because we moved here in September last year, so it doesn't leave you much time to prepare for winter. But the Lord had prepared for us because when we opened one of the shed, we were pleasantly surprised by the amount of wood. It was stacked right to the top of wood in there. And also when the kids had gone into the field, that one that you saw Eden was trimming, the grass was so high that
you couldn't see a pile of wood.
Yeah, you couldn't see
3 foot high, 4 foot high.
Yeah, we found more wood there stacked up. So it was a blessing. And then we brought up some wood from down North Yorkshire as well. Yeah. So that was able to get us through the worst of the winter. Yeah. So that was a blessing.
And it was cold, because the front door was open.
Drafty.
Yeah. The front doors needs changing. The back door, we've had to block it up, seal it up.
Yeah.
We've got a door for that, but we're just waiting for some funds to go fit our back door on.
Yeah.
So it blows. We could put a wind turbine up here and we would get a lot of water. My son Matthias, he's already experimented with a hydroelectric wheel, but the force of the water tore it to bits, so he's going to have to make something a bit more substantial. Yeah, that was really good. So yes, that's our wood store. And this is Matthias again taking pictures along to the front of the house. That wood store is to the right of the picture, and then there's a little tool shed that's adjoining the house, the lean-to. Yeah, so that's the river that goes down beside the house. And these are some of the beautiful flowers that are coming up. We got apple and pear planted. We've also got the flowers that are around there. My eldest daughter, Katura, she's planting a lot of stuff at the moment.
A lot of flowers.
Flowers.
Yeah.
Arona's in the garden planting up. What are you planting at the moment? Tell us.
Lots of things.
All right.
Yeah.
I planted some pumpkins.
That's right.
That's going to be the best. I know it's going to be the best.
Yeah, lots of herbs, lots of tomatoes, yeah,
Peas.
broccoli, peas,
Yeah,
you name it.
potato.
Yeah,
Onions. Yeah.
potatoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
potatoes. So that's what we're doing. So that's basically our last bit, and that's it. So yeah, so that's really our testimony. It's just I know the beginning bits, but I wanted to put the beginning bits in because although I was in church, I wasn't, I'd never experienced the Lord until I did that country living thing. And I think the start of it, I met my wife, and that changed me. I was a guy, I used to drive a big old Jaguar. Remember that Jaguar? It was beautiful, wasn't it? It was really, that was who I was. I was working offshore at my own place. Things were easy and comfortable and stuff. And then they got harder when I married my wife. Yeah. And I went from a Jag to smoking fags all night. Yeah. So, but it changed my outlook on what we needed to do. Having the children changed that as well. And as I think Energy White writes in Patriarchs and Prophets, how it was Enoch when he had his family, had his sons, that he saw, and he then realized this system is not my system. I need something different. And he then went out of the country altogether. So, and then, Rona's decision to stay with me, and we went out there to Jamaica. That was a challenge. And that 10 years was synopsis. The end of it, where, I broke my neck, that was an aspect of where the Lord and the devil were fighting over my body. Like, in Jude, it talks about them arguing over the body of Moses, and there's a testimony of that. It was amazing. The Lord coming through and saying, go home, quite clearly. And no matter what happens, I know 100% we're in the right place because the Lord said, come home. The help you get from family and friends, invaluable, as we were helpful to somebody else. People have been helpful to us. You cannot, you need each other on this journey. You're not going to make it. Just today, there's a Caucasian lady who moved up here. How long ago? Month or two, 3?
November
last year. Yeah. November last year. She's a Christian. She's not Seventh Adventist. She's a Christian.
Sunday church.
She and her husband and 2 children decided 3 children. Yeah. They're going to move to the country. So they come up to this end, and
they're from London.
Council House, London, and they come up here. So we come across them because some other people who have been here a while, they were selling some stuff. So they were selling it online, and then they purchased it and they got talking, and that's they shared the information. So we got their detail, and then Rona intimately will just talk with us, say how's things going, etc., etc., etc. And things have turned sour. The husband changed. We don't know the full story, but they are no longer together. So she's having to move out from where she is, and she's living with church people. So we goes, look, anytime you want, just and she goes, well, she's got some stuff, so we're having to store some stuff of hers. Yeah, we don't know them, but she's God's child. She's heard the voice of the Lord. She's moving, And so she came around today and she was extremely grateful
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
So you have to reach out to people. You have to help. Everyone is going to help everyone.
Because she's left stranded because her husband's left her and cleaned out most of the funds out of their account. So she's now left with the three kids, not having any support network here because she's moved from London all the way up here. And it was just interesting that I kept in touch with her, and the last contact that I had with her, I sent her the flyer for one of our presentations on end time living, and then she came back to me and says, things have changed within my family and so forth. And then I started speaking to her and she started sharing, and she says, oh, I really need some support, and then I asked her, what can we do to help her? Then she just told it. And it was a blessing that we were able to help her. And today was the first time we actually physically met, So,
the church, Ellen White talks about primitive godliness, such as not being seen since apostolic days. And the church, everyone had all things common, and no one considered anything his own. And we share. We realize it is going to be challenging. What we've heard today, yesterday, was it today? Or yesterday? Yesterday, the Pope being the first American Pope.
yeah.
We realize we have to prepare our arcs, and time is really running out. Somebody's asked a question: what was the oil that helped? It is ganja oil. So the ganja oil was extracted in coconut oil.
Yeah.
So it has coconut,
Oil.
garlic. No, that was the word. Honey,
yeah,
and garlic.
Yeah.
So those three. So it's got the extracted ganja in coconut oil. It has honey and I just said garlic in it. So it's extremely bitter. It's extremely bitter. You take it at the back of your throat. You swallow 6 glasses of water. You can't get rid of it. It just stays there. It's extremely bitter. But it is amazing. We've had it for how many years now? And I took some the other day, didn't I? Just because I was feeling uncomfortable. And that was the first time in, I don't know, 8, 9 months at least, maybe longer. But yeah, so it's fantastic. We have the rub as well. We do have the rub. And the rub is tremendous. You rub it on any ache. It makes your hair grow. It makes your hair grow. When I take the oil, my fingernails grow faster. That's what I noticed. My fingernails grow faster. I took them all the other day. My fingernails were just growing beyond, really fast. It's just for me, it's just fantastic. And I think the pharmaceutical industry know that. It would heal so many maladies, and that's why things like golden seal. We were talking on about golden seal. We had a presentation by Sister Joan Cornwall on End Time Living, a Zoom meeting on a Sunday. And she presented certain things, and golden seal was just a massive 100% all-rounder, and to find out that America has or taken the rights to the sale of it, and it's extremely expensive now to get it. So have that plant yourself, you're going to be in hospital, out of hospital, because you're going to have all the medication you need. So but remember, with ganja, if you use it recreationally, you're going to have problems. You will have problems. It's not to be used recreationally. The herbs of the tree are for the healing of the nation. So if you use it as food, or you want to use it recreationally, you're going to be in a whole heap of pain. Paranoia, schizophrenia, all those sorts of stuff. So many people I know have fallen off from that pathway that Ellen White talks about, and have fallen off with a spliff in the hand. That's they're gone giddy and loopy, and whatever they see, they see something different. So yes, not to be smoked. Yeah. It's totally right. Don't smoke it. You use it medicinally, just like morphine, like heroin. If you use morphine medicinally, when you have pain, That's brilliant, brilliant. Give me that. I broke my leg. Give it me. I want it. But if you use it external to that, you'll be hooked in no time, and you'll be scratching yourself and breaking into people's houses in no time at all. That's the damage it will do. Yeah, so that's the case of it. And then we get to the point where we're here in the UK after a torrid time, last couple of months in Jamaica. Rona was thick and nice,
Not quite.
It's a sweet, Jamaican style, yeah. And by the end of it, she had just lost weight. No, in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
Say 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You'd lost 2/3 of your body weight.
Yeah.
Scrawny. That's how challenging it was. And it was my sisters and brother who came together and said, get out of the public hospital, get you into a private hospital. Had its challenges, but yeah, I would have died in Cornwall. People call it, what do they call it again? Slaughterhouse. So it's called it. People would go in there and dead. So, so that's the aspect of it. Health, you gotta get on top of it. Got to get on top of it. I've just done I broke it one day. I was going to do 7 days fasting, but I didn't want to go into Sabbath fasting. But I just completed that 6 days, and it helps. It does help, and then how the Lord comes through. In it, you get money. Somebody's available; they can give you money, but it's how they give you that money is the hand of the Lord. Exactly what we were short of, and we didn't realize it.
You can start posting your questions if you've got questions to ask us. But one of the things that I want to highlight, and from the experience of the whole thing from moving to Jamaica and moving here, and I think that's what the Lord was trying to teach me as well, that it's very important to work along with your husband, and these things can bring division. And if I hadn't have listened to the voice of the Lord, Ernest and myself would be we wouldn't have been together, because he was planning one way and I was planning the other way. So, and it was truly a blessing that I heeded the counsel of the Lord, and we were able to work together. And even now, here in Scotland, we, even before we moved to Scotland, while you were going through his injury, and I had to do a lot of the stuff, wrapping up the shop, because we were manufacturing ice cream and selling it into
best ice cream in the world, babe.
Supermarkets and restaurants. And so I had to wrap that side up, and also had to go
every day
to the hospital to look after Ernest, and then having to manage the home with our 7 children, all the things that was involved in it. And yes, I've just lost my train of thought there. What was that? So while I was trying to get things organized, and I had problems doing certain things, especially the finances, the banking, and I would have to go to where Ernest was staying, because he was staying at his uncle's, so that he can get the physio, and I was in the hills, and I would have to go to his uncle.
They're not coming up to the hills. The physio coming up there.
They're not coming up to the hills. So I had to go to where he was staying, so that we can
50 minutes, half an hour.
So that we can get the banking stuff done. And every time we were together, things would go through smoothly.
And nothing would change.
Nothing would change.
But we just go through.
Yeah. Whereas when I was doing it on my own, I would have some sort of problem. So we saw that as, togetherness.
Yeah.
When you work together, things work.
Yeah.
It goes forward for us, especially. I don't know about everybody else, but we have realized that when we work together, things work better than when we are trying to do things apart. So, and You know, it's a hard decision, especially when you want to make the decision to move to the country and the other partner doesn't feel it, doesn't see
Yeah.
the vision, you know, and it's like, what do you do? You know, and if it's you, like it was me who didn't want to go to Jamaica, I was like, Lord, what about my feelings? What do I want? You know, what about what I want? You know, and you just have to hand it over to the Lord. And I turned around to Ernest and I said, the decision to go to Jamaica wasn't because of him. It was because of
Mm.
what the Lord required of me. And it was to deny self and to work along with my husband. And I had to step up to that, you know, and it wasn't easy. But once I handed it over to the Lord, it became easier, you know, and ever since that, I have learned to hand things over to the Lord. You know, when we get to that point and things aren't working the way I want to, or He just hand it over to the Lord, and it helps. It really does help.
One other thing I want to add, I made mention of this and I forgot to follow up on it. My son, well, Eden in particular, the first one, you've got to understand there is something spiritual about that child. There is something spiritual that you cannot get away from. So anyway, he wouldn't fast. Now on the day of the um, auction, he decided to fast. So I believe that also applied with the whole project. Also, 100%. Because he being the firstborn, he has great sway within the household of the children. You remember Job? They would go to their elder brother and they were in the elder brother's house. The elder brother has a lot of influence on the children that come. They see him, how all these aspects. So when he ties in, it affects. It affects. When that firstborn son is praying with you for the rest of the children, it affects. So having that aspect, Rona tying in with me, my son coming on board with us, it is a powerful, and a threefold cord is not easily broken, as the word of God says. So it worked that day. He told us afterwards he fasted, and I just had to go, boy, this, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It was awesome as it was, but everything was just blowing us out of the water, blowing us out of the water. Anybody else? Anybody want to say anything? Ask any questions? Somebody says it's harder when you're married to a non-believer regarding moving to the country. It certainly is. There's no doubt about it. But then your life will draw them. And if I be lifted up, will draw all men. So if you lift him up in your life, 100%, you will draw him. Because he will look at you, look at the world, and say, the world is sweet to man. Then I know many, like the girl we were talking about, I don't know what their life was like. She's separated. I know people in our own household. They're separated after many years. And my brother is counseling lots. And you know what it is? This is a sad thing. He's counseling a lot of women who are making that move, want to step out. He's not counseling a lot of men. I don't think he's counseling any men.
Mm.
It's all women, and the husbands are going on. I know two non-family members who's in that situation. The husbands have gone back into it, and they used to be erstwhile. Somebody asked a question. Can I ask, how did you do your 21 and 7-day fast? 100% just water.
Well, for the first 4 days,
Yeah.
we had herbs.
Did I have it as well?
Yeah, I gave that. Yeah. And this was bitter herbs, with no sweetener. So it was made up of cerasee, neem, and I think there was one or two other herbs, but the main herbs was cerasee and neem, and that's a bitter, bitter herbs if you're familiar with them, and it's for the cleansing. And as Ernest said earlier, on the fourth day, I didn't know what to expect, but on the fourth day, it was just a plug of mucus just fell out of my head, the back of my throat. And I was telling Ernest about it.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, yeah. He wasn't really taking me seriously.
No,
but
I had other things doing.
You weren't taking it seriously. So when he decided to join me in the last 7 days, sure enough, the same thing happened to him.
Day 4.
Yeah.
And again, this time, day 4.
Yeah.
We were coming back. We'd been in town.
Yeah.
And we were coming back. I was in the car. And boom, I just got a nosebleed. I had to be spitting out. It was big clots of blood. And then that night, the mucus nearly drowned me. It was just pouring out. It was the nose where I got the swab up as well. I had a swab one time, and I had it at Advent Health, people. Advent Health in Florida. Advent Health. And they stuck this big old thing up. I thought I was assaulted. I thought I'd gone to prison and was being raped. It was terrible. And it was terrible. So same nose that they stuck up, I got this clot of blood. Okay, so if somebody asks a question, did somebody want to say something?
Okay.
Okay.
How many times a day did you drink it?
Okay, go ahead.
What was that?
How many times a day did you drink the bitters?
Oh, I just drank it throughout the day because as I wasn't eating anything, I just drank it.
Keep the pain away.
Yeah, to keep as well as water. And after the 4 days, all I had was just water. And I slept a lot. I rested because it was advised that if you're doing a fast for that length of time, you shouldn't really use up your energy by doing a lot of work, even though because I'm a mom, I would still get up and cook, and that was after a while it wasn't a problem because it's like the food wasn't having any effect on me, so I was okay to cook. But most of the time during that fast, I was in bed.
Resting.
Yeah.
Not miserable, but miserable. Mr. iPhone, you have a question? Someone's got their hand up.
Yes, yeah. I didn't change my name. Sorry.
That's okay.
I just wanted to ask. You said it was 21 days you did your fast for. The first 4 days with the bitter herbs. After the 4 days, what did you do? Did you continue with the herbs, or did you start eating light, or?
No, I didn't eat at all for the 21 days. I only had herbal drinks for the first 4 days, and these were bitter herbs. And then after the first 4 days, I just continued with plain water.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah, and I did the 7 days on the end of being sick, wasn't I?
Yeah.
I was sick. We came down with a horrible.
Yeah.
Wait, was it the bird?
The pigeon.
The pigeon. The children. She's still got the pigeon now, So they found a pigeon. It had flown into
Injured
something,
pigeon.
ripped half its wing off, and so my daughter, love her, has been looking after that pigeon ever since. The pigeon's still upstairs. Anyway, it came into the house. I think we all got bird flu. I was sick. Did the 7-day fast, that helped. And
I was the only one who didn't get it.
Yeah.
Because I was fasted.
Yeah. And my eldest son, he came down, he was very miserable. So all of us got it. And then, which was really good, Barbara and Neil came over to Manor House, and that was a fantastic week. With Barbara and Neil and everyone there. It's an experience that ranks up in top 10. I've never experienced such aspects of togetherness, everybody wanting to know, people from all walks of life, trans, LGBT, Muslim, Hindu, everyone was there, rich and poor, Nubian, Asian, Caucasian, wherever you What was that? Arabian? Was it? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So they were all there, fellowship. So at the end of that, and I was washing up in the kitchens, but I was still just coming out of my sickness. So I was just washing up. That's all I was. Dishwasher, hot one. It was a great experience. Great. Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay. If it wasn't for your accident in Jamaica, do you think you would still be there possibly? No. Because 3 days before the accident,
We had made the decision to
the
go back.
Lord had told us to go home.
Yeah.
And I was 100%, that was it, we're going home. And we were scared to go home. That Thursday, I'd gone out with the boys. I went to them to come with me, and then I had to get a bottle of Malta or something like that, and they enjoy that. But I had to give the blood. The guy wouldn't take my blood. Something was wrong with my blood. He said I was anemic. I'm like, what? That was Thursday. Sunday, I collapsed and snapped my neck, and then my boys had to resusc me. So, yeah, that was that. From there on, woo, all hell broke loose, and that's why Rona.
And you've never been anemic before.
Never been anemic.
Yeah.
No, very healthy and strong. Yeah. So the bitters were neem, Cersei, and anything. What else?
You know what?
There was some. Yeah. There's three.
I don't know if
At
I
least
put
three or
sour salt.
Noni?
No,
No, it wasn't.
no,
No
it wasn't
leaf?
noni. No, we've not used the noni leaves. I think it may have been sour sop I'd put in there. Yeah,
kind of
or probably fever grass or something like that. Yeah.
Just to mellow it down. The fever
Yeah.
grass to mellow it down. But it was bitter. It was
Yeah.
bitter. It would make you pick up. Yes, I see your hand raised. Go ahead. Parks family.
Hello.
You can
Hello,
hi.
good afternoon.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Go on.
no, I didn't hear what you did with the bitter drink. What was it? I missed that bit.
Go on.
It was herbal drinks that I'd taken 4 days at the start of my 21-day fast.
Mhm.
Yes.
And you drink it
And
throughout the day.
basically where I got this from, prior to me doing the 21-day fast, I had visited my mom because they were in the process of moving home. So my sister had some books there, and because I was helping them packing up, and she had some Dr. Sebi books. So I started reading them, and one of them there was about fasting and all the benefits that you can gain from fasting. And I was really intrigued, and I felt impressed to do it. And it said that if you were going to do it, that you should take bitter herbs for the first,
as a blood cleanser.
yes, for the first 4 days, because it will clean out your system. And also at the end, towards the end of your fast as well, you were to take it as well. So yes, for the first 4 days, I had Cersei, neem, and I think there was some soursop and fever grass. That's the herbs that I had on me at the time, so that's what I used. And then for the rest of the other days,
Was it busy?
no, I didn't use busy.
Okay.
For the rest of the other days, I just had plain water. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That sounds good. Here
Yeah.
in Jamaica, you get all sorts of herbs. So yeah, I'm going to try that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
thank
So,
you.
yeah, loads and loads of herbs and everything over there. So yeah, so no, we would not be there. The Lord had told us we had, and so many things happened in that last. The devil tried to kill me how many times? The people broke in. We've been there how long? And then people started breaking into our stuff. The container we had, they robbed it blind and everything. But we were just going home. We were just happy, as you see on the picture. We were going back. So that's really what it was. And go on.
Great. So are you saying you took the container and put it on your land?
That's right. Yeah, we had a container. We put it on the land. It was there storing our stuff. It had been there for years. No problems. We would go there. We take everything out we need, and we'd camp out there. We had other families coming and staying with us, which was really good, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
You know, when you're locked down, tang your yard, come on, no, nobody on the street. You know, I got arrested during COVID. Do you know that? I got arrested in COVID for being on the street. I got taken to court. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We
the
came
law.
out in we came out in 2023. That's when you were going back, I think.
Yes.
We came to Jamaica in 2023, 22, just
Okay.
after COVID.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, we were deciding on what to do at the end of that, and we came, you know, we came back on June 23.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
26th of June in particular. So
Yeah.
so it you know, it was a good experience. You know, the children are stronger for being there. You know, if you saw how we were to get our water when the pickup was off road, and the children have to go down to the spring and bring up 5 gallons. You know, and everyone would be bringing up stuff up the hill. You know, it helped going. You know, going riding the 7 miles over to Kempshot of a Sunday and coming back. You know, climbing trees for breadfruit, coconuts. The children, my 2 youngest boys, they would go reaping every morning. You know, they'd go out and find out what bananas are ripe, star fruit, star apple, everything that they could find, get their hands on. And it was just, yeah.
Yeah, just say it helps to prepare us for the time when there's no buy or sell.
Yeah.
And you have to live that primitive life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I have got some questions. I just wanted to address that. The first question is, obviously, when you moved out to Jamaica, it was in a bit of a disarray. But coming back to England, did you pray about that decision? Pardon me if I missed it, because there was a time when I was kicked out by the internet, and I've had to do some reconnections. Where did you pray, and did you get an answer? And the reason why I'm asking is, Sister White, when she was going to Australia, she prayed several times. God never answered anything, and she just went. But she got the confirmation that when she went to Australia, God had never wanted her to go to Australia. She was needed at the head of the work, right there in Battle Creek. But she was pressured. I would like to say openly that she was kicked out by the General Conference. And this was men's doing, not God's doing. But she still experienced a blessing. As you know, Desire of Ages was written there and so on and so forth. But she later confessed that God had never wanted her to be there. And I guess the question is, were you sure about your location, even coming back and going there? Or was it something on instinct? And that's the first question. Maybe if we do that one, then I come to the next one. Yeah.
Okay. So going out, it seemed the most plausible, logical, and it was the most seemingly everything seemed to link up. Seamless, yes. But I don't know right now, 100% talent, whether we should have gone. Now, my eldest son says, no, we shouldn't have gone. Ernest says, why did you take me there? We did, as you say, receive blessing in that. But I never asked the Lord like I asked him for our return. What do you want me to do? The reason I say this, I'm going to be honest here. We sold the house. I was a poor administrator with the funds. Didn't manage it very well. This was something that was teaching me about myself. And so by the time we're returning, I have made so many, people would say, fundamental mistakes. I did not trust myself to make the correct decision, 100%. And that's why I asked the Lord. I was there. I wanted to go home for my wife and some of the children, if not all of them, but not all of them. Yes, not all of them. And but I wanted to do what the Lord wanted me to do, and I had made the mistakes in the past. So on the way back now, I 100% asked him, I put it to him and I asked for a sign. I asked for a sign. And for the first time in my life, having been elder, deacon, many positions in church, I asked the Lord for a sign. And he came through. He came through. And he gave me that sign.
Amen.
And I was happy for that. So 100%, this is what the Lord has asked us to do. 100%.
Thank you very much. The other question that I wanted to ask you, I got a few, but maybe I'm being greedy. That's why I was holding back a little bit for people to ask. One is to do with the well. You say the guy who did it was a lawyer and he decided to go all the way. And I think I'm 100% for that idea because that's an extra insurance. Is it a cost? Yes. But how deep is the actual water table, you said?
Well, the farm, we've got a guy. So we had a problem. This house was just, the guy who had it, when we took over the house, he was outside a business place in Dice, which is a large place, which is it's oil industry. He stood outside there, he gave us the keys, and this went. That was it. So we turned up, we had no information about the house. So we thought everything was connected. The septic from the toilet wasn't connected. Unfortunately, we experienced really horrible experience. And that cleaning out, was it Sabbath evening, Friday evening? I think it was. It was a Friday evening when we realized that yes, it was coming up somewhere. And so we got a local, we were told about the people up the road. And so we called them and they come and clear out the septic tank, suck it out. So they came down and sucked out the septic tank in the evening. Goes, oh, I'll be down. Send the boys down, he said. And it cost over £300. So they came down at night, in the evening, I don't know what time it was, at night, pitch dark, and sucked it all out. It was a really good experience seeing it all get sucked out and everything. And then they went off, and I was going to give him something. He goes, no, mate, it's all right. It just went off.
Yeah, so it didn't cost us anything.
Yeah. So he then came down a day or two later. Magnus, his name is, and originally from the Orkneys, and they hold so much land around here, huge business up the road. And we were just chatting, having a laugh about different things. Really funny guy, and he was telling me all about it, about the borehole and everything. He was the one that told me that next to it was the ground source heat pump.
But we actually found the paperwork
for the well when it was originally dug.
Yeah.
Drilled. You have to drill it. And it's 150 meters deep. But he says his was 10 or 20 meters. And Nick, 15 meters? 15 meters. Nick's is 15 meters. And most of them is just down to there.
Yeah.
But this guy has gone down and it's 20 meters into bedrock as well. So he really drilled it deep. So we were going to get a new borehole moved because the council wanted to do this and etc. We decided just to leave it, and one of the reasons is we're surrounded by farms just about, only behind us Emma, but behind Emma's the hill and behind that is farmland. And they use a lot of stuff. One thing I would say, try not to be around farmland. Because they do spray a lot of stuff. They spray your potatoes to keep them from sprouting and going to seed, so they can store them all through winter and then sell them off. They spray the ground and everything, so, and that goes into the river and runoff. So we would not use the water for drinking over the river. Probably it's going to make the plants grow big, but that's it. So, and then they put all fecal cow dung and stuff like that on the fields, and it will smell really strongly for ages. Yeah. So I would advise try not to get around farmland. It's going to be hard to do that, but you have to have your 3 W's. WWW: water, wood, and wheat growable land. That's what you need. Just like the www dot. Your www dot is water, wood, and wheat growable land. You need that, and if you have that, your quid's in. So, yeah.
Amen. And then I didn't quite get about the geothermal power. Just wondered, is it because they have sold me this dream that it is quite, obviously because it's coming from the ground, it's quite sustainable. Is it because of the technology to sustain it that you probably decided not to interest yourself in it too much? Is it
Well,
because
yeah, go on.
yeah, I just think wondering if it's too complex, maybe in terms of how to tap into it.
If we had our own solar power, we would do it. If we had our own solar power, we would have it as a backup, because there is going to be a point where we're not going to be able to get fuel oil, heating oil. There is going to be a point you can buy it, and so because we got a year and a half, 2 years worth of heating oil, so because so many people free, absolutely free, we just had to go and pick it up because they're offering these ECO4 schemes, eco schemes where they will remove all other facilities to heat and cook and then fit from your home, and you'll be totally on electricity. They'll put in just enough electricity to make you feel like you've got some, so just enough solar panels to make you feel like you've got enough, but you don't have a battery, and it's normally 4 kilowatts, and that can't run at home. So, and what will happen is during the daytime, most people are out, so they're using your roof to generate power for their system, and then during the evening, because you've got no battery, that's when you're going to put your kettle on, you're going to put your TV on, you're going to heat your hot water, so, and all those sorts of stuff. And all of a sudden, you've only got electricity. You're going to go to them and say, "Can I get some electricity, please, sir?" And they'll charge you for it, the very electricity that you've been giving them all day. And so we looked at it and thought, this system is not really conducive. It restricts you. They're talking about, "Oh, you're off grid, blah, 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 blah." You're not off grid. You're tied more onto it. So we decided we're not going to do it. The ground source heat pump is there. We've got underfloor heating run throughout the house already put in. But we will facilitate that with the diesel or the heating fuel oil. And then if that, there's going to come a time when we won't be able to get it. So at that point, if we have funds enough and we put in our solar panels, solar water heater, things like that, then yes. But we have a friend of ours, not about an hour away, she's gone off grid. She's making, it's like her life is so challenging, but she's pushing out there because she knows when the lights go out, she will not be in darkness. When the lights go dim, she will have light and she'll be able to walk about because she's used to walking about in the dark already. And she's trained. She's fit, fighting fit for that. And I believe this is what we need to be doing now, preparing ourselves for that experience. Because when it comes to it, as Ellen White says, for want of what? Food and raiment, people are going to bend the knee. People are going to succumb and do whatever because they're not used to being without it. Not used to being without it. So you think you're going to just swap and change and do it. You're not going to. Okay, I used to smoke when I was young. A small period of time, few years, I used to smoke, and I stopped it. The Lord miraculously stopped it. I then joined the Navy, and I finished my training, and I was at my billet. It was fantastic. I was at Royal Marines Pool, Special Forces base. It was fantastic. It was gung ho. We had SAS, SBS, Royal Netherlands Corps, Navy SEALs. Everyone's coming there, and there you were, gung ho medic. You just felt like the top dog. Anyway, one day I was on duty in the sick bay, and all the guys piled in after lunch, and they were smoking. And you sat down there chatting, watching Home and Away or whatever it was, and somebody had put the cigarette into the ashtray, and it rolled out onto the Formica top of the table. And I was like, "Oh, I'm on duty." I said, "Oh," picked it up, and I picked it up between my two fingers, like you have a fight between two fingers. And without me even thinking, my arm started automatically coming up to my mouth. I was like, "What? Did you say that? Did you say that?" I was amazed. This is 2.5, 3 years after I finished smoking. I picked up the cigarette in my two fingers, and my husband, oh, you do that, don't you? You know, and it was bringing it to my mouth. I was astounded. I had to put it in there, and I thought, wow, look at that. So it's not going to be easy to just flip. It won't be easy to just flip. You have to prepare now. I don't believe I know we have the signs. We have clear signs before us, around us, unraveling every day. And the image to the beast, President Trump sat there in his garment, AI configuration, image to the beast. 2025 is a Jesuit Catholic program, the Heritage Foundation. We all know this. And they are working industriously to move us. Pope Leo, the last time Leo was sat in the office, Blair Bill. And now they've returned. Rome has returned, and this time they will not let you out. They will surround Jerusalem with its fortifications, and they will cast up a dunghill against you. Anyone who comes out, on the scaffold you go. You try and get out, on the cross you hang. So, you know, somebody's writing, what's that? Yeah. So we really have to get ready and get ourselves, you know, if you can afford it, get that country home anyway now and still live in the city. Get it. You know, get it. You know, you want to work, facilitate that, do it. But have your eyes towards that thing. Don't have your eyes lost from that. You have to have your eyes onto that. That's your end goal.
Our son says you cannot serve two masters, so I mean
preach it, son. Preach it. All right, but there you go. There you go. You know, so yeah, I must have gone off tangent there. Okay, somebody says, is there enough time to get country home and city living?
That's right.
And you know what, you're right, Sister Park. There is a quote from Ellen White where she talks about where you shouldn't be building up properties beside, you know, having all these things. Yeah.
And also as well, you know, there's so much to do when you move to the country.
Ooh.
This thing cannot be set up overnight. There's just so much that is required to get the place up to what you need, how you need to be able to prepare for yourself and for other people. So no, you cannot be stretching yourself by trying to set up a country home and still be trying to live in the city. It just doesn't work.
I was trying to just say, just get something going.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take, as my wife said, it's going to take time. Remember that we're going to look at, after this, we're going to look at, because we've got some fruit trees blossoming, and I know we're going to have some fruit on it, but I'm sure there's something in scripture which says that you cannot eat until the third year. And I'm going to rue that if that's the case, because I could see a lot of pears and apples and russet kind of apples coming out. I'm like, man, I want a taste of that food. But there you go. So we're going to have a look at that and just clarify that. I was reading the other day. Oh, man. Oh, tell me about it then. Sister Park, what were you reading? Tell me where did you find that?
I can't remember right now, but I was reading it because this is the third 22 we start our farm, right. And it's only just start producing. It was producing, but it's only just really start producing really huge, because on that farm it had some coffee tree, and I don't. When initially I tell the guy to cut down the coffee tree, and they didn't, and it just wasn't producing. And last year I went through, early this year, I went through and got somebody to chop them down. And lo and behold, my land is just producing and producing. So, you know, what it did say, I was reading it that you said after is it the third year? I can't remember the exact thing, but I can look it up. That, you know, you shouldn't start eating until after, I think it's about 3 years.
I think the first 2 years you're not supposed to harvest it. The third year, harvest it, but it's an offering unto the Lord. That's and then the fourth year is yours. Something like that. So that's what I'm going to clarify that, and that's what I'm going to look at.
Yeah.
Okay, the name of the book you read about the fasting, Dr. Sebi's book?
It was a Dr. Sebi's book. I can't remember the exact title of it, but it was one of his books.
Yeah.
That's what I read.
Yeah, Dr. Sebi. So yeah, that's there. Any other questions, Talent? What do you have more? Ask us now. Forever hold thy peace.
I was going to leave it for the rest of the brethren.
Yeah.
If anyone has got a question, so we can bring it to a close.
Important to have support network. It's important to have support network. To be together, you need to be one. You need to be one in body and mind.
If no one wants to ask, there's a point that I missed. I know you prayed about the finances and you got more than what you had asked for. What I didn't get was this a loan or was this gifted to you?
Okay. So, yeah, John, speak.
Yes, it was given to us with the intention of repaying it back.
Yeah, we have
yes. We have got some holdings in Jamaica that we are going to be selling. And that will be able to enable us to repay the funds back. We were looking at the possibility of taking a mortgage out, and they were like, no, I don't want you taking a mortgage out. So that was a blessing, because that, takes off the pressure of having to pay bank and stuff like that. So yes, we're just waiting for our property in Jamaica to be sold. Yes, because we could have sold it, but the Lord instructed Ernest to subdivide it, because there was a lot more interest for smaller pieces of the land. So when we looked into it, you're able to make a lot more money by subdividing the property. So that's why, because we had advertised it for the whole lot and somebody came and gave us all the funds that we needed. But when we considered it, we thought, you know what? Although we can get the funds now, we should probably just subdivide it, because we will be able to get a better return from this property. So that's what we have done. And so yes, when that comes through, we'll be able to settle the that money at that point.
We pray so. We pray it comes through. We pray we have the facility to do that. The CBDC or whatever, central bank digital currency is coming in, where they'll be looking at restricting the transfer of funds from one area to another. You can only use it in a certain place. You can only use it within a certain period of time. So things like that. So we hope that we can. Leviticus 19:23. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, that's what we hope to do. By God's grace, we really want to get that done, get that money back to them. And then we're just plowing on, plowing on. I've been off work. I'm starting work next week, so that'd be great. So we're bringing some further funds in there, and then we're just going forward. By a wing and a prayer.
Yes.
Wings of the angels.
And that money that the HMRC had stolen from us, thankfully we were able to get that fund back. So that's been a blessing, because it's been able to keep us for that duration of time while Ernest has been off work.
Amen. We can allow for maybe one more statement, one more from the audience, one more question, and then we'll bring this to a close by God's grace.
Go ahead.
Can you tell me what was in that pain relief rub that helped?
Yeah, so there is a massage oil, and its foundation is beeswax. It has wintergreen and pimento, and the active agent is cannabis oil. The cannabis oil is extracted in coconut oil, virgin cold pressed coconut oil. and it's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
When you say beeswax, not the
Yes.
coconut oil, how does the two? So,
Go on.
You said ganja in coconut oil, garlic, but there's beeswax. Where does the beeswax come in?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to show you the tin. I've got one tin because it needs to be done. So there's two different things. So this is a tin, and that's hard. You see, it's hard. I'm going to rub some on. Really nice. Okay, it's really nice. Oh, that wintergreen is delicious. It smells really good. Okay, so that's a massage rub. Yeah, so that is a rub. And my wife will rub that massage it into my neck, down my back, and along my nerve roots going over to my right arm. And in 3-4 minutes, I have got total relief. While she's massaging it, it's going. It's just beautiful. And I'll sleep. And then there's the oil. Now, I don't use the oil as often now. Now, the oil is extracted once again in coconut, and it has honey, garlic, honey and garlic. That's it, honey, garlic, the cannabis extracted coconut oil. So those three. Yeah. And then the ingredients for the rub are the cannabis extracted coconut oil, the beeswax, the wintergreen, and the pimento. Yeah.
Oh, pimento.
Sister John has just put an explanation. She's also a medical missionary. She says beeswax is the binder and the coconut oil is the moisturizer, and the wintergreen provides the warming and the circulation. So it's almost like a full concoction.
Yeah.
With different functionality. Yeah.
Yeah, cannabis is the herbal medicine. Yeah. Would it be cheaper to a country property in Jamaica? No, we're not Jamaican. My parentage is Jamaican. My mum and dad are from there. As the beginning, Rona's heritage is Montserratian. Would it be cheaper? You might be. We just want to be here. Rona wants to be here. I always wanted to be in Scotland. I love Scotland. I just love it. Every time we cross the border back into Scotland, it's a beautiful sensation. I don't know why. It's going to be challenging everywhere you go. But that's ours. So would you get a property cheaper in Jamaica?
Probably not.
Yes.
But
yes.
Same now.
Yeah. You would get a property cheaper in Jamaica. Somebody we knew went out there and bought 1,000 acres, didn't they? Airstrip and all sorts of stuff on it. House, booking master house, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, you can do it. You can do it. But living there, you have to expect. Yeah, you have to expect to live. It's in that third world country, so you're going to be restricted. Everything's got to be brought in. It jumps to the beat of the US's drum. So somebody else, where do you get these rubs from? I get them straight from Jamaica. So the last time my niece was out there, she brought some back with her. She brought several tins back with her. So yeah, but we do sell it, but I'm not here to sell. I'm not here to sell. I'm just letting you know that's what helped me. 100%. So yeah. So yeah, cannabis is wonderful. Don't let no one fool you on this. We brought up if it's all bad, it's not bad. It can be misused. You have to be temperate. Temperate in all things. Yeah. So
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Brother Ernest and Sister Rona. It's Rona, yeah? Thank you for your willingness to share what the Lord has done for you. And I am praying and hoping that everyone has been as inspired as I have. And like I said, the whole purpose of having these many different stories is not every story will speak to you, but at least one of those, or maybe more, will speak to an individual person. And like you were talking about, experiential faith, experimental faith, and people will be challenged to try certain things. And so I hope this has spoken to someone, especially now you are this side of the new papacy, which again is bringing, because it's the first one after the new papacy, the first testimony we are having after this new papacy. And I think there is a change in the wind that we can sense. We just need to pray that God extends the mercy, that we can do the work, but equally that God gives us some wind in our wings to move as quickly, as swiftly as is possible. So thank you again. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless your work. Brother Collins, would you like to pray for us, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your Sabbath, and we thank you for the wisdom that you've given us with regards to moving out of the cities. I pray that you will help us to know what to do, dear Lord. Help us to lean on your word, to lean on your wisdom. We don't always know what to do, dear Lord, but we pray that you will take away our human understanding, dear Lord, and help us to lean entirely on your word and your wisdom. So we thank you for the health that you've given us. Help us to adhere to your health message. Help us to study deep in your word. So dismiss us now with your blessing. We thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Amen. Have a good Sabbath.
Good night, all, and happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath, everybody.
Happy Sabbath.